Alright guys, welcome to another episode of Electrical Theology, Esoteric Life Coaching. I am your host, Charles. Hope you're doing well today. If you're new, thanks for joining. Appreciate you showing up. And those guys who are continually watching me, thank you for showing up as well. Love each and every one of you. And today it's going to be sort of a quick video, or it should be, hopefully. We're sort of finishing up and coming to an end of Sermon 26, which is about self-awareness and the worth, the image, self-concept, self-knowledge, self-belief, all that good stuff. But today, basically, it's just going to be a review. So maybe some of y'all who are new to this channel, that I'm going to show you all the topics we have gone over. And for those who have been here, I'm going to show you how much you have learned, or maybe you already knew some of it, but maybe there's something new that you didn't know about. And so hopefully someone will get something out of this. All right, guys, and if you do get something out of this, definitely like, subscribe, share this stuff. Their algorithms definitely love it, and I love it if you would help me share this information with the world, because it is my life's mission, and I plan on doing this. I've done it my entire life. All right. So I've done this in my entire life. All right. So let's get started. All right. So first we talked about that through God, or the 7 frequencies. And for those who don't, I'll sort of break all these things down, but I'm not going to go into them too deep. I'll just give a quick bullet point for each one. And why is it that we're learning all this? Because it's going to help us communicate not only better with ourselves and take responsibility for those thoughts, actions, and emotions, but we're going to do so through an undefended heart. And we need that undefended heart in order to broaden our cast or broadcast out into the universe, because there are other beings, other realms that are looking for individuals to communicate with. And there's nothing evil or sinister about this. Everyone just has their own agenda, just like everyone in the world individually has their own agenda, and then there's collective agendas. Now, some people will look at other people's agendas as good or bad, negative, evil. Others will say, hey, this is good, this is positive, we need the world to go this way. But then there's other ones who don't. So we'll never have a consensus on this planet. And what we can have a consensus on is our heart and mind coming together, marrying and copulating, if you will, consummating that relationship. And that's a commitment. Once we commit to that, that brings our transmitter and receiver on. The mind is the transmitter, the heart is the receiver. All right? I'm transmitting. Are you receiving me? Right. So that is this Shambhala hierarchy, God in the 7 frequencies, which we humans live in the 7 frequencies, in this realm, this simulation, this matrix, this box, this video show, this Truman Show, this Groundhog Day. Any of these references I'm making is that we're in a loop. And in order to get out of this loop, this matrix, this false illusion, again, there's nothing right or wrong about this false illusion. You just need to wake up and say, hey, I'm just stuck in a TV broadcast show that's being rerun over and over again. And once you understand that you are all that, and that's the capital that, and that there's a process and a path to you. And once you understand that path, you become more empathic. Yes. You become more empathic. You become sympathetic or sympathic. All right? You become, and then this way you understand your path. And there's a plan to this path. And the plan creates the planets, the plants. Yes, go play. Plants, the animal planet, the human planets, the soul, spirit, and all that good stuff. Right? We've talked about this. Go back and watch that video on that to this. And then we talked about having this ability to communicate with other beings is to broaden the awareness of the human species and consciousness. Now, I'm not doing this as a collective. I'm doing it myself. And by me doing it myself, it helps others. If they want to come online and do their own unique broadcasting, that's up to them. But this all helps us to understand our present state of being. Are you living in the past or are you in the future? Are you depressed or are you worried? Right? So in the present state, I am me. Now, if I have a desired state that I don't wish to be me in this version, I want to be a better me or broader version of me or panoptic version, having certain abilities, transformative, supernatural abilities, to have insight, to be able to actualize and manifest. Right? And we'll be delving this into the next chapter or so. But this is just the introduction to the basics of being able to communicate not only with yourself, others, loved ones, but also going beyond this planet and into different realms. No different than AM or FM. AM can go so far, FM can go so far. Right? AM is amplified modulation. It can go up and down, so it can broadcast, and it's better for voices. FM is frequency modulation, which is better for music and the way it's created, and then being able to transfer or transmit over sideways, if you will. AM is up and down, FM is sideways, so that's why when you go over a mountain or something, it cuts out because it can't receive it. But AM, no matter where you travel, you'll always get that country music or Spanish music, right? Or talk radio. All right, so present state to desired state. It's where you are now, and if you don't want to be here, where do you want to be, and what is that step, and what are the goals and steps to get there? We've talked about that. And we talked about starting off broadly and then getting more narrowed and specific, right, or focused, and that focus helps manifest, and that creates discipline, and then we go through the discipline, and then we gain knowledge, and because of that knowledge, we gain more discipline, and then the discipline gives us understanding. We start understanding who we are, who others are, what our roles are, what our energy is. Right? And through that understanding process, we then gain more awareness. Awareness is a higher frequency. Each one of these are higher frequencies, just like it is on the radio, from 88.7 to 96.1 or whatever. They're different frequencies. None of them is worse or better than another. It just depends on your style of listening. Right? And what you're naturally geared toward doing on this planet, your natural abilities, that comes with ease. Unnatural abilities, if you will, the ones that you have to learn, are more difficult or complicated. Right? But we have discipline, understanding, and then wisdom, and then from wisdom we go into insight. We gain our insightfulness, right? Our intuition. That develops into a whole nother frequency. It's just not some happenstance. It's another muscle that needs to be developed because it has a certain path and plan that we talked about. And once you gain that insight, that brings you to the actualizing. So you're able to actualize or manifest using your insight or your actual eyes. Right? And once you have that, then it leads to wisdom. Now that wisdom's light has been turned on, now will can see action. Because will, wisdom, and action are separate. But wisdom is the middle, the medium. And so it's the pyramid, the fire in the middle. And so that fire in the middle takes will and amplifies it and sends it on a modulated frequency into action. And then so when you have the will to take action, then the action or acting on ions from the higher realms you can handle. You can manifest. You understand the process. You're aware of the process. All right? And after this will, wisdom, and action, then we ended up with the 4%. So as you're beginning to understand will, wisdom, action, and awareness, all this stuff, then you're going to run into stressful situations because you're taking out your old stuff and putting in new stuff. And when you put new stuff in, it pushes on the old stuff that's sort of anchored in you. And it's going to bring to light what it is you're ready to change. So if you're ready to take wise action, then you will have the will in which to do it. But if you don't have the wisdom of taking the discipline or the steps to gain the knowledge, then it's going to be extremely difficult, which this 4%. Basically, there's four set parts to this 4% cycle. There's the 4%, which means you're learning something new, but when it starts becoming so frustrating, your body goes into fight or flight, and that's over 4%, right? So your rationale, your critical thinking, all this stuff goes away, and you're just in a fight or flight, fawn, freeze, or whatever we have in psychology, right? Or behavioral modifications, or cognitive behavioral, all that good stuff. And so the 4%, then it's 4%, then you hit the zone. Because once you have that 4%, you stress, walk away, you recenter, and all of a sudden you're open again because you pushed the boundary, right? Because that boundary was sort of ionically put in place by you but it was a low frequency. So in order to break through that low frequency, or to get out of that matrix, you have to then push harder than what you did before. You can't be lazy and complacent. So once you push beyond that and you keep pushing, that's that 4%, and you push your limit, walk away, recalibrate. And in that moment, because you push further, because you pushed into the next realm, then you gain some understanding. And then when you then put into practice, so that idea comes through, the writer's block went missing, you ran faster than you ever did before, you were in the zone. So that's the second part, the zone. But the zone is very expensive to your human body's electricity, so it's going to drain the energy from your cells, which then you're going to go and feel depressed. Well, depression is just depressed ions. The ions are pressed or sucked down. And so the fourth part of this is that you have to re-nourish the body, right? And then re-nourish your mind, re-nourish your mind and your heart by relaxing, taking it easy, not caffeinating it, not drugging it, not excusing it, right? But just rebuild the body back up with nutrients, and through that you recover, and that's the fourth position, is recovery, and that leads you, and you start again in a new cycle, now you're in a new position, because now you're beyond where you were before after that cycle, right? And then we talked about positional observation. Positional observation, right? Serving those ions, and serve this verse, that we were able then to look at our position, step out of our position, and walk into someone else who's looking at us, or we perceive them to perceive us a certain way. Right, second position. And then third position was observing yourself, observing yourself. Right, so we have the observer, observing, observing. So we're getting practice in serving in this process, which means we're able then to see from someone else's position. It doesn't mean we know them, it means we understand or have awareness of their position. Make sense? Transmitting, receiving. All right, and we talked about the secret grid. We went on for weeks about the secret grid, and we're going to continue that because we need this basic elementary stuff. So when we really ramp up this secret grid even more, it's going to get powerful. You're going to tap into higher frequencies, and we need to make sure that your body is calibrated properly for this work, if that's your choice. If you've been going through life in the last years or two, and things have been disrupted, and you're sort of lost, or you know there's something bigger for you, but you don't know what that is, right? This is what I'm teaching, is getting you prepared, right? Pre and pair, transmitters, receivers, right? We're getting you prepared to be able to transmit and receive, and then open up to your life's purpose and fully understand that, and not be 1 or 2 degrees off of that, right? You're in the arena but not knowing the sport, but we're going to hone that in, deep focus, right? And we're understanding the process of that, because that's part of the path and plan of that. And so the secret grid, we introduce the realms of consciousness and the stages to get to a new realm in that consciousness. And because of that positional observation, we understood remote viewing. Remote is and mote. Mote is just motive, motivation, emotions. It's all the same word. We're just moving ions. So means again, so we're just removing, right? And that does have a dual meaning. We remove the old ones, put new ones in. Or we remove the same old ones into a new one, or we remove energy into a new position, right? And then because of this remote viewing and this positional observation, we understand deep listening, right? And this has to do with communication skills, because once you go out into the universe and start connecting via electromagnetism and airwaves and the electrospectrums out there, then we're able then to communicate. Once you dial that phone, if you will, you can call home, or you can call other universes or other planets or other beings, and they'll answer, because they also work on telepath, right? That's the path, the empath. Once you become compassionate, then you have the ability, or the telepathy, or the telepathic ability. Making sense now? You're seeing the patterns? And so because of this deep communication, deep listening, then we are able to deeply listen and hone in, because sometimes it's difficult. Their frequencies out of phase, but we can pick up some words, if you will, or pick up on a feeling, but we're not sure of that. Well, we're all phased a little bit, right? But what's also going to happen is we're not going to be phased by any, let's call them startling moments. We're not going to label them as what we talked about earlier, is that it's a bad or evil energy. No, they're just people with different perspectives, and their energies are different, just like Middle Eastern have different frequencies and energies because of where they grew up and what they're eating, and what they were influenced by religiously, politically. And then there's the West, right? Over here in America, where we have a different version of life, a different religion, right? So it's basically understanding how to communicate and deep listen, and it's not about being right or wrong, because none of us can be right or wrong, right? But what we can do is listen to each other closely, deeply, right? And the more we can focus in on that, the more we are using the ability to literally fine tune the frequency and be the medium between you and someone here on earth that cannot do this, and having a direct communication with someone on the other frequencies or other realms or planets. Same thing to me, right? So that's going to enhance our communication skills and fine tune by deep listening and by observing what's going on and not trying to label it be right or wrong. Right? And then we understood this, how all this happens is on the universal divine circuit. Again, the verse, serve, same word. You're beginning to see a theme here, is that we're going to serve the verse, right? And the way we serve the verse is by being your own universe, your own frequency. So if you got 50 other people in your head and your energy, and when you're trying to communicate with other beings or family members, everyone else's information is in there. And everyone else, and it gets confusing and frustrating. Right? Information is just in-form ions. You're bringing someone else's form into your ions, and that disrupts the pattern of being able to transmit clearly. So therefore, you're not going to have clarity in your life and your life's purpose. Right? And that's what these classes are here for, to fine-tune you, to get you ready for what is coming to Earth, planet Earth. We are going to go up a frequency, actually 2 octaves from where we were. Right? So things, if you're still angry, blaming, faulting, then that's only going to get 2 times worse, if you will. Right? It's going to magnify. So you think you got troubles now and you're not dealing with them, they're only going to get more magnified. But if you're willing to do your work, and that's who my audience is people who are ready to unfold their hearts, to be vulnerable, to be able to tap in. The more I open up, the more channels I can open up to. But I can't do that if I'm defended, egoic. Gotcha? I'm transmitting, you're receiving. All right. And so once we understood this universal divine circuit is Aleph, Beth, that to form, the unformless to form. It's the process of taking unformed ions, forming them, and having them manifest inside this realm or this version or this matrix, whatever you want to call it. And then we went over in the last probably 6-7 videos is self-awareness. And there's self-esteem, self-worth. We talked about your self-worth. And if you don't think you're worthy of communicating, then your channel's not going to be picked up. It's a weak signal. And so here on Earth, if you got weak signals, then you're either going to draw in bullies, if you will, a dominant signal, a dominant personality, right? But if you get a strong signal, right, then you have the ability to help weak signals and then transform, right? There's that form, the unformed to form. And so we're able to transform, right? Transmutate their energy that's muted and then bring it up to a higher frequency, okay? So hopefully that is a good review. Let people know what we've been discussing, and if you have any questions on any of these, or if you want further information on any of these topics, then definitely leave me a comment below. Right? Let me know what you don't understand about it, and we can maybe later on. I'm going to have some live interviews going on through here, or live chats, and then y'all can chime in, and I'll answer those questions live. And I'm going to have special groups that there'll be a membership. I haven't got that all set up yet, but I'll have special classes that I teach for those who are wanting to enhance their abilities. And these classes aren't going to be too expensive. They're going to be in the single or double digits because YouTube and all reaches the world. I'm not looking at becoming a billionaire. I'm just looking at getting this information. But my time is valuable. My knowledge is valuable. So in return, that energy has to be returned in some form, be it gold, silver, crypto, Bitcoin, whatever, right? Dollars, it's got to be returned back so I can continue to do this in this state, right? And then the next video that we're going to get into is going to learn humility. Humility, again, is human, right? To be the human. The human, whatever title you want to give it. It's just man is not male or female. Man is just our category, right? It's sort of like the Dewey Decimal System of cosmic neighborhoods. And so man is what's on Earth. And so hue, H-U-E, is the frequency at which we live, which is writ through violet, right? Which is 1 through 7, which is A through B, or A through G, right? This is the 7 consciousnesses. And so once we have these abilities, you're going to gain insight into a lot of people's ways and perspectives. And so you have that ability to help other people and carry on your message on this planet. Or what happens a lot of times, and I see it, and that's why I'm going to teach it, is to be disciplined, not to go off and be egotistical with this new ability or power, right? Because if you haven't dealt with your old stuff, when you have these new powers and someone irks you and you throw that power back at them, you can damage them, and that energy is looping back on you. All right, so we need to avoid ego when we get bigger. All right, so we're going to learn humility or humanity and compassion. Come past the ions. Passion, past the ions. Compass. It's all the same word. You're getting it now? So my compass, then you know your direction, you know your meaning, you know why you're here, you know what to teach. All right, guys, that about does it, and then we'll continue on with a little bit of broad and specific stuff. All right, that's all I got for you this week, guys. I appreciate you hanging in there. And again, hit the like button, subscribe, all that good stuff. Share this video with your friends if you think you benefited from it. Share that knowledge with others, and y'all sit together, watch these videos, and discuss. Have great discussions, right? Debate back and forth. Is this good? Is this, not good or bad, but is this helpful or not helpful, right? I'm not looking for myself to be judged. I'm looking for it to be heard, right? If you can integrate any bit of my information or the way I perceive it and present it, then go ahead and integrate it with yours. But if parts don't, that's fine. Put it off on the back burner. Come back a year from now after you've gained more knowledge and see what you understand now and see if you're a little more aware. Like that? All right, guys. Subscribe, all that good stuff. I appreciate you hanging out. Love each and every one of you, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.